The girl with a pearl earring. The answer is closer than you think. Today we will discover fascinating details about Girl with a Pearl Earring. The painting is not only a piece of art, it is a window to the past. Vermeer used a technique called camera obscura. With this, he achieved surprising light effects in his paintings. But who was the painted girl really? Some believe she was his inspirational muse. Others, that she was simply a servant. The mystery remains captivating. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe for more art mysteries. The film is set in the city of Delft, Netherlands, in 1665. Griet, played by Scarlett Johansson, is a young lower-class girl whose life changes when her father, a tile painter, is blinded after an accident. To help support her family, Griet begins working as a maid in the home of famous painter Johannes Vermeer, played by Colin Firth. Johannes Vermeer was a Dutch painter of the Baroque period, renowned for his paintings that capture scenes of everyday life with an extraordinary sensitivity to light and color. Although he is today considered one of the great masters of art, his life was relatively unknown and his success limited during his time. Vermeer was born in the city of Delft in the Netherlands to a middle-class family. His father, Reinier Jens, was a cloth merchant and also worked as an art dealer. This fact influenced the young Vermeer, as he grew up surrounded by art, which probably sparked his interest in painting. Not much is known about Vermeer's early years, and details of his artistic training are equally uncertain. It is thought that he studied with some local teacher in Delft or perhaps in another city such as Amsterdam or Utrecht. In 1653, Vermeer joined the Guild of St. Luke, an association of artists in Delft, indicating that he was already established as a painter by this time. In 1653, Vermeer married Catharina Bolens, who came from a well-to-do family of Catholics, which was notable in a largely Protestant society. Vermeer also converted to Catholicism after his marriage. This union brought some financial stability to his life, as Catharina's mother, Maria Thins, provided them with a large house in Delft, where they lived and raised their numerous children. It is believed that they had at least 11 children. Vermeer's life was in many ways modest and domestic, centered on his family and his art. However, his large number of children and lack of a steady income led to him becoming financially dependent on his wife's family. This may explain why Vermeer painted relatively little compared to other artists of the time, as his works were commissioned and took a long time to complete. Although his total oeuvre is relatively small, around 34 paintings survive today, his style and technique are exceptionally refined. Some distinctive features of his work include light. Vermeer is famous for his ability to manipulate light, creating an almost ethereal atmosphere in his scenes. He used light to shape his figures and objects, giving them a soft, vibrant realism. Geometric composition. His paintings are usually organized with great geometric precision, which gives his scenes a sense of balance and serenity. Vivid colors. He often used bright and expensive colors, such as ultramarine blue, which he obtained from precious stones such as lapis lazuli. These colors gave his paintings a visual richness that was unusual for the time. Detailed realism. Vermeer had an impressive accuracy in depicting textures, from lustrous pearls to velvety fabrics to the surface of furniture. This has led to speculation that Vermeer may have used optical tools, such as the camera obscura, to achieve such minute realism. Vermeer worked very slowly and in detail, producing only a few works a year. He was not a prolific painter, which may have limited his recognition during his lifetime. Furthermore, many of his works were reserved for specific clients, which restricted his visibility in the broader art market. One of the most emotionally charged moments in the film is the first meeting between Griet and Vermeer. Although they do not communicate verbally at length at first, the exchange of glances reveals a deep, silent connection. Vermeer quickly senses that Griet has an innate understanding of art, and this is what establishes the core of their relationship. The look between them, as Griet enters the house, already makes a difference in how Vermeer perceives her compared to others. Rather than simply being a servant, Vermeer sees her as someone with a special sensitivity towards art. Throughout the film, their glances exchange more than just words, a shared understanding of color, light, and composition. As Griet becomes accustomed to her new surroundings, the camera shows her sensitivity to colors and light, reflecting how she begins to see the world in a similar way to the painter. The emotion here is subtle but palpable. There is a growing tension between them, born of silent admiration and curiosity. Vermeer begins to trust Griet, allowing her to clean his studio, a place that is strictly off-limits to the rest of the household. This part of the film is filled with suppressed emotion, as Griet is drawn to the art world while also aware of the risk that comes with being in that private space. This is where she begins to learn about pigments and painting techniques, further strengthening her connection to Vermeer. The teaching of pigments is a significant moment in their relationship. Vermeer does not share his artistic knowledge with just anyone, and his willingness to teach Griet how to mix colors suggests that he sees her as an equal in artistic sensibility. Through this process, a bond is established between teacher and student that goes beyond the professional, creating an emotional intimacy based on art. One of the key moments is when Vermeer asks Griet to mix the colors for his painting, a gesture loaded with meaning. This simple and apparently technical act has an enormous emotional charge because it implies an intellectual and creative intimacy between them, beyond words. Vermeer's wife Katharina, played by Essie Davis, represents another emotional core of the film. Although not particularly close to her husband, Katharina senses jealousy and discomfort at the developing relationship between Griet and Vermeer. There is a tense scene when Katharina discovers that Griet has been in the studio that is considered her husband's private space, and her suspicions grow. Without saying it outright, Katharina senses that Griet is not just another servant. The tension increases when Griet begins to spend more time in Vermeer's studio, a space that is almost sacred to him, and which Katharina is not allowed to set foot in. The film here shows an internal emotional struggle of Griet, who finds herself caught between loyalty to the family that employs her and her growing admiration for Vermeer. One of the most emotional and decisive moments is the creation of the famous portrait girl with a pearl earring. The decision to paint Griet not only reflects Vermeer's obsession with her beauty and mystery, but also Griet's vulnerability. This process is fraught with emotional tension, as Vermeer has her pose with Katharina's earrings, which represent sensuality and luxury, things that are out of reach for Griet because of her social status. In one particularly intimate scene, Vermeer pierces Griet's ears so that she can wear the earrings. The physical closeness between the two at this moment is filled with a contained sensual tension. Although they do not cross the boundaries of a physical relationship, this scene conveys a powerful connection between them, based on mutual respect and an unspoken attraction. The painting is finished, and Vermeer presents the portrait of Griet as girl with a pearl earring. The film suggests that this painting captures not only Griet's beauty, but also the complex relationship between the two. Although their relationship is never physically consummated, the portrait becomes a symbol of their emotional and artistic bond. When Katharina discovers the portrait and the earrings that Griet has worn, a dramatic confrontation erupts. It is a moment of great emotional tension in the film. Katharina feels betrayed, not only because Griet has worn her earrings, but because the portrait reveals the closeness between her husband and the servant. Katharina demands that Vermeer choose between her and the portrait, bringing out not only her jealousy, but also her desperation to maintain control over her marriage and her home. Katharina's anguish is palpable, but the way Vermeer handles the situation, prioritizing art over everything else, reveals the disconnect between them. Griet, sensing the danger of the situation, decides to leave Vermeer's house to prevent things from getting worse. Despite her connection to Vermeer and her growing understanding of art, Griet can never fully escape her fate. In the end, when she leaves the Vermeer home, she does so aware that her relationship with the painter, while meaningful, cannot continue because of the social and emotional barriers that separate them. The portrait she leaves behind becomes the silent testimony of what could have been, but never was. The painting, as a symbol, outlives them both and perpetuates Griet's beauty and mystery. Girl with a Pearl Earring is a subtle but powerful film, full of contained emotions, unresolved tensions, and a visual beauty that is reflected both in the images and in the emotional dynamics between the characters. We hope you like this summary. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next summary.